Never be afraid to change your mind. Walk with me now. So I'm reading this book currently called Think Again. I'm barely into it, but the first chapter of it was somewhat eye-opening because he's obviously introducing what he's going to be talking about in the book. And one of the biggest things that he's been talking about is how often we tend to cling to what we've believed. We start to learn things throughout our lives. We start to live certain ways, and we start to go by certain moral codes and other things that we normally stick to for the entirety of our lives. Whenever we hear anything that differs from the opinion that we have, we get defensive and we fight against it, even if the person that we're arguing with or debating with objectively knows more than us. You know, a lot of things come down to subjectivity in life, but there are also some things that have objective truths. But even with things that are subjective, sometimes those things may not be suiting your life in the right way. There's a lot of things that we can believe that fit our subjective experience in one portion of our lives, but it doesn't fit our subjective experience in another portion. I've mentioned this before, but our lives everything around us is always adapting. Everything is always changing. We're always changing. And if we're always changing and the world around us is always changing, then our thoughts need to change as well. How we behave needs to change as well. A lot of things about our thought processes and how we do things needs to change. But more often than not, we're not ready to do that. We're not ready to give up on these things that we've learned and things that have become so embedded in what we believe and how we behave. But going back to the book that I was talking about, he kept saying, always think like a scientist. And what he meant by this was that scientists have different hypotheses that they'll test and retest if they get it wrong, or they'll even change their hypotheses if they get it wrong and test something else. Always be willing to change your mind and think of alternative actions that you can take for certain things. There's a negative stigma on being indecisive and changing your mind and not being able to stick to one plan, but a lot of the time it can be really beneficial for you. Being able to change your mind, being able to have the flexibility to try a different road, to try something different, to see if something else works. More often than not, that's how the best ideas come to people, when they stop thinking how they've been thinking forever and start to develop new ways of understanding the world around them. So start applying this to your life. Be flexible with your thoughts. Don't ever hold too much conviction with a certain thought or opinion that you may have. Always question it. Always think, is there a better way to think about this? And see how your life may change. Thank you for walking with me.
Got way too much shit on my mind. I'm still trying to live with the fact that I ain't taking off and it isn't my time. I'm still trying to live with the fact that the girl in my dreams isn't hitting my line. I don't want to wait till my 30th birthday to say that I'm hitting my prime. Wait, yeah. Got way too much shit on my mind.